Hey friends, this is Audie Cornish, host of CNN This Morning and The Assignment, and guess what? Every story you care about, every angle you want unpacked is now streaming on CNN. That means you can catch my show or other CNN programming whenever you want on your favorite device. And a subscription also gets you access to exclusive video series and unlimited articles. So subscribe to CNN at cnn.com/subscription.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. New players, new games, new rules. Squid Game, The Challenge returns for a gripping second season. 456 contestants from all walks of life, competing in the ultimate test of strategy, alliances, and endurance. For a life-changing prize of $4.56 million. With stakes this high, why make friends when you can make millions? Watch Squid Game, The Challenge Season 2, only on Netflix November 4th.
It's not day or night. It's kind of half night, you know? And I'm scared like I can't tell you. And you're scared. I get even more frightened when I see how afraid you are, and then I realize what it is.
Halloween, or whatever movies, 2025.
What up? And welcome to Halloween at Or Whatever Movies. I'm your co-host Iris, and I'm here with my older brother,
Wesley.
Today we're talking a movie from 2025. We're a little late on this one, but we held off until Halloween. Weapons.
Speak for yourself, please, Weapons. I saw Weapons opening weekend and was like, Iris, see Weapons. And you were like, Weapons? And I was like, Barbarian, dude. Zach Cregger, get on it. Weapons, finally, Iris is seeing Weapons, and we're discussing it as, ironically, the new entry, Halloween 2025.
So if you're trying to be like normal Aunt Gladys, why that wig? Like, can't get a normal wig, lady. That's not an incognito wig. That's the pedophile van version of hair.
I found this interesting. Zach Cregger told Amy Madigan, who was the sister in Gone Baby Gone, and a few other roles, notable roles, but that's the one that struck me, said you have your choice of backstory. Either she is an an old person who's trying to stay alive by taking the life energy of these kids, and that is her trying to look an amalgamation, Pennywise style, of clothes from different eras or looks from different eras, trying to look appropriate, or she's a being from somewhere else, like an alien, trying to look human.
And what did she choose?
I think she chose the former, but just the choice showed that Gladys was so wild looking that she was never meant to be trustworthy. There was no illusion.
In his BTS, Zach Cregger talked about how she's this bright, sunny, cheery woman from Florida. Like, she's your Floridian aunt who like snowbirds into town and is like wearing bright colors and is, you know, when she answers the door to the detectives, she's like, detectives, welcome. It sounds like that was his direction for the character. And then he allowed the actor to choose her own backstory.
And for Tracy, BTS refers to behind the scenes.
So we're starting with Aunt Gladys.
Yep.
And she was feeding off of the energy of the children or kind of everybody and also weaponizing them. This is one of the many ambiguous, amorphous things about weapons.
Ooh, amorphous. That's a good word. You know why? Because this was a series of little baby Terminators, all being weaponized with a sole purpose in life, to lock onto you. Will not stop ever until you are dead.
Yeah, Terminator-like, zombie-like, but then also she's eating them?
So depriving them of their souls. She threatened that she could make What's-His-Nuts' parents eat each other if that's what she wanted.
So basically, by amassing these weapons, she was able to suck or borrow their souls while they were under her spell. She does seem to Gary Oldman style get younger and brighter and more energetic as the movie goes on, so I guess that makes sense.
But then she regresses, like it's a continual thing.
So she's vampiric. She's like a vampire who makes zombies. That's weird.
Vampire. This is only one in the funky stew of the horror tropes of this movie. This was P.T. Anderson's The Blair Witch Project.
And you know what? He and Zach Cregger also references Magnolia, saying it was one of his favorite movies. Does he talk about that in interviews? Is he?
Does he? It's all he talks about.
Really?
Maybe it's just because of what I glommed on because of my affinity for that movie.
Maybe he's early in his filmmaking career and he's not filtered or jaded yet because he talks so unguardedly about his personal life, his filmmaking process. He comes at this story, Weapons, from a very, very personal place that he's also very open about. But I also think that's kind of noble and brave. Although Mindy Kaling says that brave is never not a backhanded compliment.
Okay, yeah.
And while it's a compelling mystery and a pretty scary horror film, there is so much that feels, I think you use funky stew because there is so much that feels like, oh, this would be cool. Oh, yeah, let's do that. And oh, this would be scary. Like, what is, just for one example, why is Gladys in the forest haunting the junkie?
I have no idea. The same reason she's in Archer's kid's bed. Same reason she's on Justine's ceiling. She's just there. They were an American Werewolf in London style dreams in the forest and stuff.
I would also say just to be scary, just to give us an opportunity for a scare.
Yeah, but let's qualify this. You said a scary movie. Until Wong comes at Justine in the gas station. What was his name? His name is Benedict Wong.
His character's name is Marcus.
And he's Wong in the Marvel's Avengers because all of these people were superheroes or in superhero movies. But up until that point, what's scary? I went back and reviewed my notes from way back when I saw this opening weekend. And it's useless because it's like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
This is opposite of a scary tone when they play George Harrison over the kids running out. It's like classic, like folk rock. Barbarian was like, what the F? And this one is like, what the F? Like, I'm like, what's happening? Why are they doing this?
Yes.
What's with the big gun?
But how is that different than what's happening in When Evil Lurks? Also available Halloween 2025 at orwhatevermovies.com or wherever you get podcasts.
That's fair because it was tonally, I feel like that one was scarier from the beginning. Maybe it was established by the opening scene, whereas I think this one has a pretty limp opening scene. It's based entirely on the premise, and only Zach Cregger is in the know for the first hour of this movie of what's happening. But yeah, they are dealing with their own stuff in When Evil Lurks. They don't understand the implications of the evil. They're just kind of floundering around like these parents who have lost their kids. So I suppose that's apt. The answer is I don't have there's nothing defensible about that. It's just that tonally maybe a precedent was set.
The characters in When Evil Lurks do have an idea of what's going on. They're just not bothering to tell us or let us in because we are a fly on the wall. You know, there's a ton of exposition, but all of it feels very unfoldy in When Evil Lurks. Whereas in Weapons, there is a good amount of time where you're like you understand the mystery with the kids and stuff like that, but what the evil is, what is actually happening, comes about really late, and at that point we're ahead of it. When we finally get to Alex's chapter, we're way ahead of it. So so I think it's a pacing issue.
So not scary up front. We can get to the end when it finally comes around. But this is Zach Cregger, and Zach Cregger did Barbarian. And some people have issues with Barbarian, but I think you and I both found it absolutely riveting, basically from the opening frame. We are suspicious and we're keyed in and examining every gesture, every flick of the eyes, and we're terrified that what we think is going to happen is inevitably going to happen. And how is she so stupid as to not understand that this is what's going to happen? Oh, she is. But then anyway, I was watching super closely for Weapons, and when Paul shows up and his finger is conspicuously bandaged, I was like, oh, he's bad. Oh, he's evil. What are you doing? Oh, God. Oh, this is horrible. And I was reading into her alcoholism. Maybe she blacked out. I was paying very close attention. And while there was a lot there, and this is purposefully driven, which I came to understand only on the second viewing, for the first hour upon first viewing, I was really floundering because I was looking for toe holds, looking for the stuff that Barbarian set up so effectively and seemingly effortlessly that I was a little bit shaken by weapons when I didn't know what was going on at all.
So you were leaning in, you were looking for the story in the details, many of which were kind of meaningless or only in service of building a semblance of these characters. I assume that it also has a little bit to do with the chapter format.
A little bit like Stephen King, Zach Cregger said that he came up with the concept for the story, presumably that Gladys uses kids or uses adults, weaponizes them, but effectively draws them to her for the purpose of sucking out their life force and prolonging her life. And then he started writing, and he said it was like he wanted to watch this movie and see how it comes to him, how it unfolds, and said he was a big fan of P.T. Anderson's Magnolia, which I hope one day we will discuss, but he wanted a sprawling epic of multiple characters, in some cases overlapping timelines and perspectives. And I can admire that, but he went hard with that format and used it to what I think was pretty good effect. There are subtle differences and things, and he wanted it just to be so many characters. And again, each one based on a facet of his life, a part of his personality, and how they all come together.
So he wanted this sprawling epic. He takes his time with Justine's story, which is really our entry point to Weapons, obviously being the first chapter. 2 hours and 8 minutes. I guess that's enough time to service, what was it, 6 characters? We had Justine, Archer. We had Paul, Alex, Marcus, and there was the tweaker.
Oh, man, he has an identity. It's James. Come on.
Oh, right.
James did have the shortest story, though, I think. His little chapter, from his perspective, was pretty short. Josh Brolin went on record and said that he believed that Archer was the everyman. And while we're not all on crack or whatever, I do think that the layperson was James, who was just looking at stuff and not understanding at all what was going on. He didn't have the scrutiny wasn't on him. He wasn't the Justine character. He wasn't, dealing with the alcoholism. He didn't have backstory with any of the characters. He was just kind of thrown into this thing and it's like, dude, what is going on?
Dude, when he's stuck in the police car and Paul comes out.
It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, when he's in the car, I was like, all of those car scenes were so scary. When Gladys comes to the car and Justine's passed out or blacked out, that was terrifying.
So you thought it was Gladys too. It was definitely the mom.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Who comes out all like The Shining style with the knife?
Yeah, with the shears. It was a little bit like Cabin in the Woods, too. She's in total. This was a very dark movie. I don't mean tonally. I mean light-wise. This one was super filtered down. And when she emerged, you think it was Gladys. We can't tell who that is. All we can see is an occasional glint of moonlight off of the shears that she's carrying. And we can see that it's a female figure based on some light in the hair or whatever, and that's it. And he's straining through the window of the cop car at night, and the front of Alex's house is all dark, and I can't see anything. And I guess that's pretty scary, but it's kind of a cheat.
I'm relieved to hear you say that, though, because in the middle of watching Weapons, I was like, do we need to replace the projector bulb? And Brian's like, projector's kind of old. We might need to replace the whole thing. So it's not our projector, it's Weapons?
No, definitely not. I watched this full brightness on my 4K iPhone screen, and I couldn't see anything.
Well, it did work for the car scenes, I think, to kind of make it a little bit more mysterious. And for some reason, those were amongst the scariest scenes. And then James had all of the wonderful comedic moments. I definitely laughed out loud in Weapons, and one of the times was when he's by the fireplace. I don't know what he's gonna jack some TV equipment or something, some electronics.
Right.
And then he sees them on the couch for the first time. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry."
You good?
Regardless of whether they're good, he's like, "All right, I'm good."
I thought you were going to say when he pulls out the DVDs and he's like, "Oh, Willow."
He was really stoked about Willow.
What is he going to take it back to his condo and throw it in the PS5? How's he going to watch Willow in the tent?
He's going to break into the house and watch it later. But it was such a random comedic moment. James was great. He also had the best surprise. Although Brian called it when Paul comes to his tent and then he stabs him in the face with the needles.
Oh my good. Paul had a bad day. Was it even a day? Did this all take place in one day? I mean, obviously not the kids disappearing because it was long and protracted, but some of these characters had a super bad day and stuff kept happening to people's faces. Like Paul got potato peelered. He got stabbed. They stabbed each other in the face. Oh,
he got shot in the face.
Interestingly, no one is really a good person in Weapons.
Yeah, they're flawed characters for sure.
So Justine's got her issues, obviously. Paul is hugely flawed, but just so hapless and confused and scared and reacting, I guess, naturally as a result. But difficult to, I don't know that I was rooting for anybody.
I can totally see that because as much as Justine loved the kids, she had an inappropriate amount of her life focused on her work and the kids specifically. You know, Archer's search for Matthew was as much motivated by his guilt, it seemed like, than his love for his child. And he was just so mean to Justine, although it did make for a pretty cool team up when they came together at the end. Like when they're both outside of Alex's house staking it out, I was like, this is pretty cool. Pretty cool turn for the characters.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst, healthcare pros, word's out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana.
But I do think later on, around the time he found his kid, didn't he leave her being attacked and screaming upstairs while he sought out the kid? And then he picks up the kid and just trucks home with him in the street. And I don't think he even looks back for Justine.
I think he rescues Matthew, but then he comes and he helps her with Paul, or he at least helps her with James.
I seriously, I rewatched it and it was so dark. It was just like, oh, and screams on basically a black screen.
He does help her to a certain extent in the kitchen, and he definitely helps her in the mini mart or whatever.
Oh yeah,
with Marcus.
And to that end, maybe Marcus was the most innocent character, or the one who wasn't bad. He was kind of standing on ceremony and this idea of what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. You have to be professional. But he didn't deserve to go down like that. Poor Marcus.
And it seemed extra bad and hard for Marcus because it's his weaponization that explains to us what's going on. And you see how just kind of immediately gruesome it is. But it also was so implausible because Gladys is not keeping a low profile at all. To send Marcus streaming through the streets with his airplane wings and his bloody face, she's not, I'm not exactly sure what she's trying to achieve. And then there's all the other plot holes and implausibilities, like the detectives don't follow up with Alex's parents. Gladys explains that his dad had a stroke, but they don't check medical records to see if there's a stroke reported. The whole detective subplot just highlighted all of the holes in the Weapons story.
Yeah, so I had to boil this down to essence. And Weapons, in that respect, is just like a remote hexing movie. It's like witchcraft, and I'm like, ugh. At its core, that's lame. But were those motivations determined by Aunt Gladys? Did you note in the opening scene, the first scene, when Alex's parents are being interviewed, it's Gladys in the role of the mom. You can tell by the signature red wig.
Oh.
And his dad is sitting in the background she's out of focus, but he is presumably under her trance at that point.
Oh.
And so she's snipping off threads, she's stealing stuff, she's controlling people. The epicenter of this whole thing, Archer realizes that the cops should have realized it, are Alex's house and the parents and Gladys being weird, and Marcus really should have picked up more than he did, but maybe there was some element of control.
They didn't cross-reference all of those Ring cameras.
Right.
It held up when they all ran off into the dark and then were never seen again. But that wasn't the case. They ran off to Alex's house, and they didn't collect all of the Ring cameras for the entire neighborhood in this effort to find 17 kids.
Yeah, Archer was the only one in the basement with the map, drawing this stuff out or whatever. But even we had the Mr. X where I was like, what is the significance of the radio tower? Even after the fact, it just so happened that radio tower was near Alex's house, didn't have to do with anything. But it was a visual reference, a marking point where he can say, that's just not houses and bushes back there. It seems like he ran in the direction of the radio tower, but it was a red herring or whatever.
It was just the trajectory, like survey marker for him to map out Matthew's trajectory, get the other kids' trajectory, which was so, talk about not liking Archer. When he goes around the wife to Justin Long, who was also in Barbarian, to get the footage, I was like, what a dick. But I guess, whatever you got to do in service of finding your kid.
Whatever you got to do.
And that's Archer's whole thing, right? Like, he's going to harass, cajole, divide, whatever he needs to do in order to get back Matthew. But then it all comes down to why. I mean, obviously it's his kid, but then he has that really emotional moment where he's basically saying, like, I'm sorry I never said I love you, even though I do, and I feel it. And he's falling apart, sleeping in the kid's bedroom. It's terrible. The whole it's terrible. It's a terrible situation.
Yeah, and so that's what I was expecting from you, was the idea that the kids are never safe, that you have to continue to feed yourself and go through the motions and go to work and stuff while the kid is out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a terrible, probably the worst open-ended feeling out there. And I think that's what made Brian really resistant to weapons. He doesn't like the kid possession movies, the evil kid movies, like Megan is a little bit too much for him. And so it was hard to get him on board. But then would you say that the kids are more vicious and monstrous in weapons than they are in When Evil Lurks? I mean, these kids rip open her jaw. I don't think they could have gotten away with that in When Evil Lurks. Marcus
headbutting his husband into mashed potato was pretty terrible. Marcus getting got by the car was pretty graphic. I thought he had the two goriest scenes, except for the kids. Boy, there was someone who suggested that they are conscious, the parents are conscious when they're being made to stab themselves in the face with their dinner forks. And I hope that's not the case, because if they weren't traumatized by having their life force sucked out by the vampire that is Aunt Gladys, pulling Gladys apart limb by limb is going to be traumatizing for them.
For the kids.
And some of them are talking again. Well, I hope they weren't conscious for that stuff.
Well, you're talking about the kids as characters. What about the kids as actors? And I know that the kids were doing it because I saw in the BTS Zach Cregger being like, you get to get an arm and you get to get a leg and you take the top jaw. And it's like, what?
Oh, man. You remember we talked about In Evil Lurks, how they had to deal with 150 bastard goats who wouldn't do anything they were told? I'm not sure how this is possible, because only 17 kids ran away. And at one point, I read that there were 150 kids on set, and there were child welfare advisors and stuff to make sure all the kids were taken care of. And they were basically employed as herders, wranglers, entertainers to keep all these kids calm and stuff. It's basically herding sheep, herding goats. And I don't know why there would be 150 kids on set that would require wrangling.
Maybe some of the kids were interchangeable so that they can make their days.
I suppose it seemed pretty okay and maybe even fun. Run around with your arms out. No, just like this, like you're carrying 2 heavy pails or whatever. Stand there. We're going to put some clown makeup on you. And I was like, this isn't scary. And there's nothing to like hold on to. I'm not an active detective. I'm trying to be, but there are no good clues. And when the punch comes at the end of Weapons, it was chilling. When all the kids were charging after, it was meant to be funny. The dude stops his lawnmower because he hears the thing, and she goes by screaming, and all the kids in their jammies run after her screaming. That's meant to be funny. But when they're going through the windows and chasing her I was like, oh. And I got it on a barbarian level of terror. It coalesced, it galvanized, and all of a sudden I was really scared. And when they pulled her apart, I wasn't like, oh, this is schlocky and crazy and the substance, it's crazy. Like, it was actually scary. And then there's that amazing shot of someone who has to be a little adult in jammies chasing her and crashing through the door and crashing through the window, and the camera's over her shoulder. The one who ultimately crashes through the window, Jason Bourne style, and tackles Gladys on the lawn.
She's like in a pink juicy jumpsuit or something.
Yep, so amazing. Hopefully that wasn't a kid. Hopefully they didn't make the kids do the hairy stuff, because it gets pretty hairy.
It's interesting that was scary to you, because in a way you want Gladys to get her comeuppance. Like, this is the price that she pays for the evil that she perpetrated on this community, right? Like, this was this moment that in a way maybe we were waiting for, or that we were hoping for or rooting for. So I feel conflicted about being scared about it when it was kind of supposed to be maybe a heroic moment. But also, why are these kids like hauling ass? Like, they're not assuming the weaponization posture. They weren't running around with their arms out like airplane wings. What was going on? Because I was out of it. I wasn't in it, maybe like you were.
And you probably joined Kelly Ray in that camp. But maybe it was because they were being weaponized by Alex, who didn't have ultimate control like Gladys did over the kids. And James was jumping up and screaming and wasn't doing the Marcus kids posture or whatever. It was out of control because Gladys had lost control, or was doing her best she was doing multiple things at once, because by the time Alex snaps her twig, she's already deep in conversation trying to control Archer, I think, right?
That's right, because Archer turns on Justine.
And seemingly Archer doesn't have lasting effects like the kids, because while she weaponized him, she didn't have a chance to suck his soul.
All right. I think you're filling in some gaps for Zach Cregger, but that's cool. I think that works.
Weapons was no Barbarian, which set strange tones at first and then switched to the Justin Long character. And I was like, what? But we got back into the action. But Weapons was a much slower burn. And I was at least grateful that in the end it came around for me to be hair-raising, because some other movies that we've discussed recently, it was the opposite. It was scary at first and then kind of whimpered out with a tepid ending. How is Weapons like A Nightmare on Elm Street?
Because Alex is now assuming Gladys's position?
You're
and the terror will
overthinking
go
it.
On?
Nope.
How?
New Line Cinema. The house
right.
that Freddie built, financed A Nightmare on Elm Street, went on to do Lord of the Rings, and then had another huge hit with Weapons. Supposedly, Warner Brothers, the parent company or the distributor, made like $66 million off of Weapons, which has probably exceeded the gross of Barbarian in total. A lot of staying power for Weapons.
Definitely a success. The featured reviews on IMDb actually don't seem that favorable, but the box office kind of suggests otherwise. I think it was a little bit of timing. There was a certain amount of intrigue around a kids and school horror movie involving weapons, but it obviously didn't go that direction.
That's sad.
And maybe that was a good thing. I think it was just a good, fun, scary summer movie that now gets its second window in spooky season. And makes it a great entry for, like you said, Halloween 2025 at orwhatevermovies.
Are you ready for more? Officially confirmed, Zach Cregger Weapons prequel, Aunt Gladys, in development.
What? No.
Yeah. We're going to find out, like Pennywise origins, we're going to find out how Aunt Gladys glommed onto that makeup that she glommed all over her face.
I mean, that's okay.
So it sounds like you liked Weapons okay for what it was. You embraced its difference in tone and execution. But Brian, I'm interested in Brian's take on Weapons.
Well, I mean, he's not here. Do you want me to call him?
No. Yes. Sure.
Okay.
No. What did you were there. Did you have to squeeze his hand?
Oh, he was scared. He was definitely scared and uncomfortable. And we both were holding on tight during the car scene with Justine passed out in the driver's seat. There was even one, maybe it was the gas station scene with Marcus attacking Justine, where I was like all over Brian because I was so scared and his nipples got all hard. It was so weird.
I'm sorry. I can't take that out of the I can't edit that out of the podcast.
Don't your nipples get hard when you get the chills?
2025. Check out our other entries. Try to have a happy Halloween.
Check out 5 seasons of Halloween movies at orwhatevermovies.com or wherever you get podcasts, and let us know what you think. 818-835-0473 or whatevermovies@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to this discussion on weapons, and we'll see you next time.
Hey Iris, why is everyone in the world of Dracula at each other's throats?
The lost version of Bram Stoker's novel has been unearthed, and everyone is trying to bring its author to light.
The stakes have never been higher. But who wrote it? Bram Stoker?
I'm going to find out. Count on it.
The Powers of Darkness podcast from Or Whatever Movies.
Wherever you get podcasts, October 2025.
Hi, it's me, Flo. Remember me from Ghost Hampton, the podcast? I was secretly in love with Lyle Hall. Well, now I'm dead and loving it. But let's talk about you. If you loved listening to Ghost Hampton, you can now spend the summer in the Hamptons. The original episodes are back, and now new episodes will be dropping every Friday. I may drop in too, just to make Lyle feel guilty. Ghost Hampton, the podcast, is now streaming everywhere.